Welcome everyone. It's really good to be kicking off this Comprehensive Learner Records virtual showcase in Zoom land. We are so thrilled that we're able to do this. And although we had planned to do this in person last fall, of course, in COVID and having a pandemic, that became impossible. And we hope that this platform has allowed even more people to be able to join and to be able to take part in the meeting today. So nice to see everyone, have you with us. Just a few notes here as people are entering the room, a little netiquette for you. I think you probably all know this, but if you're not a presenter today, please mute your microphone. As you come into the room, they're auto muted, but of course those controls can be manipulated by you. So just make sure that you're not allowing any ambient noise to creep in here. It lets everyone else hear the presentations, the speakers today with it. And with about 200 people or more anticipated to be in our meeting today, we could have a little Tower of Babel if we don't pay attention to that. So thank you so much for doing that. You may have questions today. We certainly hope you do, and we certainly welcome your questions and comments. We encourage you to use the chat feature today for that. If you're asked to unmute by a presenter to ask a question, please do so. Otherwise, please utilize the chat feature today. And hopefully you have all downloaded the Zoom app and are using that on a computer today. It really does allow you to have the most features and the most convenient interface for the meeting. So if you have not done that and you have a break today or would like to download that a little bit later, you might find the meetings a little bit smoother for you today by using that. At the end of the day today at 3:15 p.m. Eastern time, we are really thrilled to have a solutions showcase. And that is where we're going to have some of our important corporate partners be able to show you and tell you about the products that they provide to help you with CLR solutions. However, we do ask that everyone please refrain from any marketing or solicitation during the meeting. This is an educational forum. That's not the place for us to be trying to recruit new clients or try and sell services during this meeting. Thank you. Now, today, the panel presentations and this general session that we're all in, as we are right now, are all being recorded. And so just know that they're being recorded. However, breakout sessions in Zoom cannot be recorded, and so therefore they won't be recorded as part of the meeting. And we will make, of course, all the resources today, the slide decks, the recordings, etc., available after the meeting for all the people who are attending today and tomorrow. So great, that's our netiquette. Just a little bit about the format of this meeting. This is a big, giant experiment in Zoom, let me tell you. We're thrilled to be doing a lot of thought and planning has gone into this, but I'm not sure we've ever tried to be this ambitious with one Zoom link for an entire showcase. So we're going to have some rotating sessions. So one thing you'll see is that and I'll go through the agenda in just a moment, that we have some panels, and those are on topics about the CLR. And then we're going to have showcase sessions where you can go to breakout rooms and actually see the presentations by the practitioners, the people who have developed and implemented CLRs. So as you go to those breakout rooms, you can choose the room you'd like to go to, and once that occurs, when the time comes, you'll see a list of breakout rooms that will appear, and you can simply select the room that you'd like to go to. Of course, if you are presenting, you want to make sure and pick that room. You can move between rooms as you would like. So you'll see as you get in there, you'll see it's not difficult to be able to navigate around. And once you get the hang of it, you'll see some options there. You can leave the room and go to another room, go to the main room, etc. These short sessions will rotate and repeat every 20 minutes. So the presenters will be doing a 20-minute presentation, which includes a little Q&A. Then they'll repeat that and repeat that again, and that's 1 hour. So 3 20-minute mini sessions. So you can please feel free to rotate through and get to as many as you possibly can between today and tomorrow. We have 2 general blocks of institutions, and so we'll call them groups A and B. We'll talk a little bit more about that as the time comes. But one will be today at noon and tomorrow at noon. That's group A. And then in the afternoon at 1:45 today, at 2 p.m. tomorrow, we'll have group B. So you'll have an option of, or across those, of 24 different institutions or systems that you can visit. And you can't possibly get to them all, but we're hoping you can get to as many as possible in that time frame. Today, we're right here in this welcome session and some opening remarks today that we're going to have in just a moment. And then at 11:15, we'll have our first panel. At noon today, we'll do our first showcase with our Group A schools. That goes for an hour till 1 p.m. Then we'll have another panel at 1 o'clock, flipping the script, and that's a 30-minute panel. And at 1:30, we'll have a little break. So if you need a bio break, or if you just want to stand up and stretch a little bit during that time, that's great. But at that time, we have a little something special as well. We have a new platform where we've been able to gather some video reflections from some of our practitioners and even a student about the CLR. And so we'll be playing a little loop of that to tease you a little bit on the video reflections that we're collecting as part of the project. We'll come back together at 1:45 p.m. for our second showcase of Group B schools. That will be followed by a final panel today on learning data and the use of standards in sharing CLRs. And at 3:15, as I mentioned, we'll have our solutions showcase, where you can get to talk to some of the companies that are helping all of the colleges and universities try and find technological solutions to be able to offer CLR. And that will end day 1. And then of course we'll have day 2 tomorrow, but we'll cover that agenda tomorrow. Right now is my real pleasure to turn this over to Dr. Amberson Garrison Duncan, who has been an incredible supporter of this project. And we are so ever grateful to the support from Lumina to be able to do this work. And it's my pleasure now to introduce Dr. Amber Garrison Duncan, Strategy Director at Lumina Foundation.
Thank you, Tom. Good morning, everyone. It is really a pleasure to be with you. I am sad, as Tom was talking about the agenda, we've been having these showcases and convenings for about 5 years now, and I'm really missing the opportunity to be in person with all of you and hearing about the progress that's been made. I wanted to just share my screen here and share a few remarks with you from Luminous Perspective about why the comprehensive learner record has been a part of our strategy, why we've invested in its development. And so just to start, first things first is I want to put this on show mode. And I've got lots of things standing in the way of my buttons. So I'm going to, here we go, finally. There we go. All right. So, it wouldn't be a Lumina presentation without talking first about Goal 2025, which is our North Star, which is why we do everything that we do. And that is that by 2025, which is now only a short time away, that 60% of Americans are going to need a high quality post-secondary credential in order to access jobs that are family sustaining. And as we've been experiencing this pandemic, all of the reports that we're hearing, if you follow what happened during the last recession, is that that accelerated the need for high quality post-secondary credentials in 2008. And so we're anticipating that the need could be even greater than 60% by the time we get to 2025. So it is even more important for us to continue to make sure that Americans can get access to and complete these post-secondary credentials. So where are we actually at in that goal? So I do have some good news to present to you. If you've been on my previous presentations, you'll remember the last iteration we were at 49.6%. We are now at 51.3%. So yay, good work. It takes all of us to move the needle here. And every percentage point is millions of people. Millions of people's lives are represented in these data. So, we're really glad to be able to show that this progress is happening. And as you can see from the bottom is that attainment is currently on track to reach 56% by 2025. So that is if we do nothing, we change nothing, we will get to 56%, but that's not our goal, right? Our goal is 60% in particular over. So that remaining 4 percentage point difference means that we will need to ensure that 6.9 million more people earn a credential than what we would anticipate if we changed nothing. So again, while there's been good progress, the goal is within reach. We can get moving on this. And so we continue to challenge ourselves and all of you to continue your good work and make even more progress towards this goal. And what I want to highlight to you in these millions of numbers is that at Lumina, and I know all of you often share this commitment as well, is that while we're going towards goal, we have to make sure we're closing the gaps that exist between individuals based on race. And really want to highlight that at Lumina, we have a strong commitment to racial equity and justice. We've come out even stronger since our new plan was launched at the end of 2020. And so this has become an even stronger, again, emphasis for us. And we really are looking at equity means that equity will be achieved when outcomes cannot be predicted by race and ethnicity, and that justice will be achieved when the root causes of those inequities are eliminated. And so again, all of our work is focused on systems change and rooting out the things, the barriers that exist, the processes that create all of these injustices. And we believe that should be the mission of certainly our work, but also the mission of higher education, so that we are, again, bringing greater equity and justice into our society. So what does all of that have to do with the comprehensive learner record, and why did Lumina see this as a solution that could help to root out some of these injustices? And so I want to talk about how we started this conversation around a technology-enabled credentialing, that if we are able to use technology as a tool to enable more equitable and ethical outcomes for individuals, that is our guiding purpose to determine how, when, and why we want to use advanced technologies like digital credentials, like blockchain, a lot of the things that people are experimenting with, that again, our North Star should be using those for good, not just because we can. That the transparency of credentials, it actually creates a more open system and a more transparent system of credentials, so that people can actually understand what are the credentials in this universe of post-secondary learning. What do I have? What are the competencies within that? What do they actually mean? And then we've been encouraging lots of open collaboration across the talent and technology ecosystem through networks. So how is it that we know we have people learning in a lot of different places beyond high school? Many of individuals of color actually start in our workforce system, or start in the military, or start in places because we had segregation and because we didn't have access. People of color were still learning, they just weren't learning in traditional higher ed settings. So we want to make sure that they can bring all of that talent with them into the higher education system. And so portability of their records became really, really important. And understanding if I could bring a record, again, if I started in the military and I earned a workforce credential while I was there, and I'm coming to use my GI Bill in the higher ed system, how can I bring all that with me and present that to an institution and hopefully get credit for that? And then we also wanted to give people the ability to manage their own records. A lot of what we hear is that people get stuck because their records get stuck in these systems that, again, don't talk to each other. And so if you think about, there's a person behind that record, they're dead in the water. And so those are some of the reasons why Lumina has been investing in the comprehensive learner record, again, but work around data standards and portability, and again, different ways to use technology. And so that's how we see that as a part of our equity play. So I had to do a meme, of course, of how it started and how it's going. I remember our early conversations. I remember sitting with Tom Green and Mike Riley and Amelia Parnell and Kevin Kruger in the NASPA offices saying, like, can we do this, right? The first question of the first grant was, can we create new types of transcripts? People are experimenting, but can we actually leverage and do, create this kind of movement around these new types of transcripts? But now what I think is so amazing is that people are now they know they can create them. It's not without a lot of hard work. It is a lot of hard work. And I know you all are experiencing that, but really starting to experiment with how can we resolve, again, these student success barriers that get created when people don't have competency-based records or don't have all their learning in one place, or again, can't own and share those. And so I think we've seen people take some, we're gonna get off here and test out some new things in the ecosystem. And again, with this focus on student success, even looking at, again, a lot of folks have started with employability, but again, are starting into new types of realms around retention, completion, that I think are really, really exciting. And I think the thing that I wanted to highlight too is that in the midst of COVID-19, in the midst of you all, again, pivoting your classes online and being virtual, responding to a lot of, we had school closures, we've had students dropping out with, 100 hours close to graduation. Pass fail grading was, lots of how do we do this? So again, lots of questions that got raised about how to respond to COVID and things that were having to happen. But what is amazing is that has not paused or really stopped this movement. I think it's really caused people to see that if we're trying to enable transfer, if we're trying to help people who have stopped out, start where they left off, if we're looking at debt forgiveness, if we're starting to award credits, if we want to accelerate completion and make sure that those competencies are clear to employers, the beautiful thing is that people have started to see CLR again as a tool to enable a lot of these things to happen. And again, I think that's where you see people kind of getting off the highway for a minute to say, how do we increase access? How do we increase flexibility? How do we use these records to facilitate and enable on and off ramps for students who, have to stop out because, they're trying to care for their children and don't have childcare at the moment and need to step out but come back? How do we give them credit for, the amazing things that they already know and can do? And then certainly creating transparency about the quality of the credentials that are being offered. What is it that the institution has been able to help someone grow, learn, and develop, and making sure, again, that that's represented in a language that employers and others can make sense of, and also understand the quality of that credential. So all of that to say, we're excited to see how far this work has come in a short amount of time, that it has not slowed down, that you all are still here, that nothing can stop us. We will have a virtual showcase. We will continue this work. And I'm even more excited to see the different innovations that start to come out as you all think about how the different ways that this tool can serve learners and help us overcome some of those student success barriers on the way to 2025. So thank you for all that you're doing, and I look forward to the next couple of days.
Oh, thank you very much. We quite literally could not have done this without you and without Lumina. The funding that made this possible was amazing, but also just the support was incredible. And the way that you helped us connect our work to the work of other people across the country and then around the world with this has been really uplifting for us. I'm going to do my screen share here again and get to our, we have a lot of guests today who are here who are maybe less familiar with what a CLR is. And I'm just going to do 2 minutes here, and then we're going to get right into our first panel. But a comprehensive learner record is a term that we've come to in this work. And it is an institutional record. It's an official record issued by the institution, similar to the way we issue official documents like transcripts, but very different from those. And one of the big difference, of course, is that it's focused on the learning that occurs. And learning can occur in many different places in a student's experience, certainly through courses, but also outside of the classroom in co-curricular experiences. And many students will talk about the important role that that played in the development and the formation of their thoughts about their career, their lives, et cetera, through that college experience. And then also we know that about 90% of students work while they're in college. And that's a bit of a symbiotic relationship of students taking what they're learning in courses or experiences, taking that to work. And of course, work experiences coming back and being shared in the classroom. So they can be about any of those. But what they are not is simply a roster of activities, because a roster of activities is very similar to what a transcript already represents, which is a chronological record of a student's enrollment. And then we'll talk a little bit more about this in our panel. So I won't talk too much about this here, but it really is focused on what was learned and how it was learned, as opposed to what was taken and when. We'll talk about the student focus in our panel here coming up, but one of the things that's really different about these because of technology is the ability to be able to have these multiple levels of discovery, that you can have this upper layer and then you can dive down in to the data and information as you want to or need to for the use that you may have in receiving this. And I'm going to paraphrase Tom Black, who's on this call today and will be with you later on today at the end of the day. But Tom said one thing early on, which is that show them the picture quickly, because trying to explain it and put it up in words just doesn't quite capture this. So here are some images of different CLRs that you're going to be able to see by touring around and seeing some of these different things. But you can see just how different these really are from what a traditional transcript may look like. And some may even, for example, look just like a student's diploma, but contain so much more information than that. So those are just a few of the ways in which we're trying to introduce this concept of a comprehensive learner record to you. And you can see here in this little graph that it really is linking a lot of data together. We're going to spend some time talking about the important role that data has in trying to create these new types of records and the ways that we can use those from either curricular or co-curricular experiences.